Good evening, and welcome back to Maxwell Star's iteration of Beer Analysis 101. Tonight, we bring a very various exalted beer for you tonight. We have got Beau's Bottle Imp Russian Imperial Coffee Stout, all the way from Van Cleek Hill, Ontario. First, let's get into the panel that we have with us tonight. Guy, start with the guy from Ottawa. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am the closest brewery, aren't I? It's an hour drive away.
Yeah.
I could have drove there and picked it up. No, I went to the Liquor Bowl.
The Liquor Bowl?
I'm just saying hi. Hi.
I'm trying to think of some kind of like Rickyism to add to that, but anyway. All right, moving on over. We've got Klyzak or Chris from On the 10th, and he's got, of course, the Bottle Imp as well. And are you going to try and physics it tonight?
Nope, won't fit.
Nope, won't fit. Have you tried maybe like cleaning out an old bottle or something and putting in that?
Won't fit.
Won't fit.
Gonna do it. Nope, not going to
do it. Not going to physic it. Oh man!
But anyway, thank you for being so professional on your intro there, Nick. It's about time. I just wanted to thank you for having me on the panel tonight, and that's all.
All this self gratification is unprofessional. So let's move on to the most professional of the bunch. Greg, how are you tonight?
I'm doing just fine, Nick. I'm doing just fine.
And make sure you come across with lots of professionalism. How are you?
I'm doing my best, Nick. I can only be as professional as I can possibly in a professional manner. I also wanted to say that I'll be enjoying the Bottle Imp tonight in a Beau's glass. See, it's got the Beau's tractor on it. I feel this group has somehow neglected the hashtag proper glassware, and I wish to bring that back today. And secondly, this is a 9% beer, so any of our viewers enjoying this, please drink responsibly. Have a ride home.
What's the logo on the side of the glass? I've seen that star logo before.
It's their... What is it? It was whatever their club was. There was a symbol for whatever their club was. I can't remember what the name was off the top of my head.
So you're saying it's a very elitist glass.
That's what it is. They're greener futures. You got it for... No, it's not the Teku one. The Teku one was the third year. This is the second year glass. It was just, just had the little star on it, and it's hashtag proper glassware.
Cool. And, of course, last but not least, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you were able to get this beer all the way over in New York, in the US of A. Average Droll. Sorry, I'm thinking Beer Patrol. Average Joe, how are you tonight?
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
You going to introduce me like that, bro?
Yep.
Number one, you can't be professional if you continually talk about being professional. Number two, I'm glad you stopped the creepy accent. It was terrible. Don't ever do it again. And number three, Greener Future series, the entire setup, that was the worst money Greg ever spent on beer in his life. But yes, I appreciate you allowing me to be here. What's that, Greg?
What'd you say? I 100% agree with you.
Okay. I mean, you told me how terrible it was. But thank you for inviting me. I'm not going to bring any level of professionalism to this chat, but hopefully you don't bring it down. So here we go.
Gee, thanks. So professional. All right, let's get back to the story about this. So Beau's the Bottle Imp Russian Imperial Coffee Stout. It's Beau's was originally founded by a father and son team of Tim and Steve Beauchesne or Beauchesne. It's French. Beau's originally launched on Canada Day of July 1st, 2006 in Van Cleek Hill, small village about 50 minutes outside of Ottawa, Ontario, where he's from. The brewery has been successful since even before opening, having sold its entire 3,000-liter first batch of their now iconic Lug Tread Kolsch before the brewery ever even opened. Lug Tread was eventually listed in the LCBO in 2008, and Beau's popularity increased from there to become one of Ontario's leading craft breweries during the early 2010s. Beau's also prides itself for the use of organic ingredients and is currently Canada's largest all-organic brewery after Mill Street was bought out in 2015. This distinction and their ethics allowed Beau's to become the first Canadian brewery to earn the B Corp certification for highly ethical, environmentally friendly standards in 2013. In May 2016, Beau's announced that the company would be sold to its employees, following a trend of employee-owned breweries on the 10th anniversary of the brewery. So July 1st, 2016, it officially became owned by the employees. This was followed by the announcement that Beau's would be expanding production for Canada-wide distribution, as well as some U.S. states such as New York and some others, I'm pretty sure. Aside from Beau's Lug Tread, which is now sold in cans as well as bottles, and I wish the cans were here, damn it. Beau's makes a wide array of products from a wide range of styles, including experimental and historic styles inspired by German, Belgian, British, American, and other countries, and ales and lagers, ales and stouts. Some of the more common ales are Festival Alt Beer, Dark Helmet's Imperial Schwarzbier, Full-Time IPA, Kissermeyer Nordic Pale Ale, Strong Patrick Irish Red Ale, Tom Green's Milk Stout, and many more. Personally, on my channel of Maxwell Stars Beer Review, I've reviewed over 30 different beers from Beau's in the channel's nearly 7-year run. Several of those, actually, thanks. I'm pretty sure Guy sent me at least a couple. Beau's also makes numerous beers as part of their ongoing Wild Oats, Pro-Am, Farm Table, and B-Side series of beers. One such beer is Pro-Am Series number 9, the Bottle Imp. Where is it? The Bottle Imp is named after a 19th century tale by Robert Louis Stevenson, so professional, about risking eternal damnation of the soul to have everything on earth one's heart desires. Ooh, that sounds familiar. First introduced in 2013, Bottle Imp is a Russian Imperial coffee stout. We've already covered that part. Weighing in at 9% ABV. Thanks, Greg. We already covered that. And is brewed with pale ale, Munich, chocolate, black patent, Cara Roma, and Cara Munich malts, and Rakow, Whitbread Golding, and Centennial hops, as well as organic fair trade coffee from Ottawa's Bridgehead Coffee. The coffee roast used is a blend of Nicaraguan dark roast from the San Juan del Rio Coco region and Guatemalan medium roast called the Fruit of Concepcion. Bottle Imp won a bronze medal at the 2014 Canadian Brewing Awards. It's that good. Moving right along, let's go over to the comments. Does anybody want to read them? How about our artisan of reading comments? Go with the average man.
Yeah, we got a few actually that before we actually went live from Raining on Your Parade, everyone's favorite viewer. He says, no Beau's in Maine yet, but years ago, Dale Moore, who some people know as Brew by Me,
yep.
He sent him an 8-pack of Beau's, and he was quite impressed. I didn't think they were world-class beers, but you cannot compare them to most other beers because they are organic. I thought the brewery had a lot of heart, and you got that. And you got that one with the earth vibe. A year or two later, everybody started to complain that Beau's was going downhill. So I'm glad I got to try them back in the day. So, in the truest form of being a guy named Raining on Your Parade, he's going to open a Founder's Breakfast Stout that is 1.5 to 2 years old because he was not impressed with it fresh, so he decided to age his last bottle. That's on him. And then after that, our good friend, former beer tuber, formerly of Hoagley's Beer Reviews, now he has They Must Be Destroyed on Site Movie Podcast. Mr. Lee Russell says, snooty fucks.
It's probably my intro.
It was your intro. And then Craig from Kent Beer Reviews, or Kent from Craig's Beer Reviews, however you look at it, says, good evening, blokes. Hello there, Craig. And then Lee says, this is too professional. Cheapen it up a bit, Nick. Specifically calling you out because he knows what kind of individual you are.
We don't have Jamie here with his nip. We don't have Jamie here with his nipple oranges to cheapen things up.
There you go. Already down.
Anyway, all right.
You fell right into his trap, Nick.
Yeah, I suppose it was a bit of a tarp, wasn't it? All right, so brewery history.
Crap.
Guy, no, we're not taking off our shirts. Okay, starting with you, Guy. Let's see what's your history with? Might as well just, since everybody's history is probably going to be short with this beer, we might as well go with history with Beau's too. What's your history with? That might be a loaded question asking you this, but what's your history with Beau's and what's your history with Bottle Imp?
No, all I know is I had it when it first came out, like December 2013. I reviewed it on my channel. I really enjoyed it. I said in review it tasted like the Matt Sleepy Time, but I think sweeter or something like that. Might be a bit more coffee forward. I really liked it back then. What's next? Do I Do I talk about the beer? How's that happening again? No.
Hmm?
Just the history.
Just your history on the
Yeah,
beer
history.
and the.
That's all I know.
was saying, if you
Probably-
want to delve into a bit into your history with the brewery itself, and go ahead.
I just go there once in a while, pick up. Well, back then it was good. Today, yeah.
Yeah.
Just go,
Right.
yeah, just once in a while, go there, pick up beers, and yeah, it was a lot better back then.
Very, very nice. All right, Chris, what's your history with this beer?
This is the first time I'm drinking the bottle Gimp, and I didn't know what my Teku symbol was, and apparently it's a Bose. And thanks for pointing that out, Greg. With Bose itself, I mean, I've had a bunch of their stuff, the Tom Green stuff, and all that jazz. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Bose, but when I get into this beer and when we talk about the style and the overall on this one, I'll get a little bit further into that. But other than that, you know what? This is my first time enjoying. Well, I'm quite enjoying this so far. This beer. So yeah, hopefully it holds up. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right on. Greg, what's your history with Bose? What's your history with this beer?
Well, my history with Bose is I've been drinking it for many years. I have no idea since when, but I've drank, I don't even have a number, but I'm sure I probably drank around 30 of their beers, much like you, including a lot of their Greener Future beers, which I would not recommend, but that's okay. Everyone's entitled to make mistakes. I find with Bose, most of their stuff is pretty mediocre. I find then a few of their bottles you get and you're very pleasantly surprised because they actually do make some really, really good beers. And this, I think, is one of their better ones. Oh, sorry, I went a little bit too far ahead. My apologies. Anyway, back to my history. I'm sorry, I got to control myself. I'm just too excited. My history with this beer is I've had it once before in the 2015 release, and that is my entire history of the beer.
Nice. Joe, history of Bose, history of beer.
All right. History of Bose isn't much different, probably, than I am a professional. I have a channel. It's pretty similar to Greg and Guy. When I first was introduced to Bose, it was probably back in 2013 when I started going up to the Albino Rhino's place and reviewing. And the one thing I always used to like about Bose was they were very creative and innovative. They had a lot of different beers. They did them well, and they did them organically, which I thought was cool. So I liked a lot of the stuff I had originally just because it was so different. Over the years, other breweries caught up, and Bose didn't really change, and then their quality started going a bit downhill. So I haven't drank many Bose over the past couple of years, unfortunately. But what I had originally 4, 5, 6 years ago, I thoroughly enjoyed. Now, hit and miss for the most part. This beer specifically, first time I ever had it was at the first ever Albino Rhino Beer Festival. Bose was one of the breweries that showed up there. I remember having it on tap and thoroughly enjoying it. It was a huge coffee bomb back then. And I remember a good friend of ours, when I say fellow beer tuber, I mean of, I guess, Chris, Guy, and Nick, Paul from PA Brew News. I remember he was so enamored with this beer and loved it so much that he ended up bringing home a couple bottles and going nuts over it. So that was really the main memory I had of that Paul loved this beer. So, yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Yeah, I don't even remember it being at the first Albino Rhino Beer Fest. I'm trying to remember, was it Channel Ocho they brought that year? I can't find my review because my fucking page won't load. Oh, professional.
They did bring the following year Channel Go-Go, which was the wine barrel aged Mexican Imperial Stout they brought, which they did the first year. I think they just had Lug Tread, or some people like to refer to it. Logo Tread. But the second year they brought Channel Go-Go, which was the barrel aged version of what was it? Channel Ocho?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just got the review up. Channel Ocho Mexican Spice Day. It was the original chili pepper stout that they did.
Isn't that the channel they play dodgeball on?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think it was the one the average Joes played.
Yes,
dodgeball on.
Yes, they did, and but they brought Channel Go-Go to the fest in 15, which I think was like the beginning of the Greener Futures series. That was like one I think of the first barrel age variants they had of any of their beer, at least publicly available.
Yeah, well, going back a bit into my history, I think the first time I ever tried a beer from Beau's was back in 2011, and I think Chad had sent me something. I think it was like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde beers or something. And eventually he would send me a bottle of Lugo Tread too. And that was the start of it, because I also had Heistel Mighty had a friend up in Ontario that would be sending us all kinds of Beau's beers. And that's kind of that, all that I've added up over the years. And of course I've tried over 30 beers. And it's like probably the most number of beers I've had from any single brewery, let alone any single brewery from any any province, more than any brewery I've had from New Brunswick. But as far as the quality of Beau's goes, yeah, I have noticed the quality, how much these beers impress me has kind of dropped. It's not like bad or anything, but it's kind of dropped off over the course of several years, and it seems to almost fall in line to when the brewery was expanding production. And while I was doing my research, I couldn't find any hard information like dates and when the brewery upgrades happened. I just know that they did happen. But as far as Bottle Imp goes, though, the first time I ever had this was it just arrived here in NB liquor stores about 3 weeks ago, and I drank it while we were doing one of these live hangouts, or was it it might have been one of the Saturday night hangouts or something. And I remember liking it, but it like compared to other coffee stouts, it wasn't that impressive. But I'm spoiling too much about what I'm going to be talking about in my next part. But overall, I liked it, but it's really recent history for me for when I had this. All right, so now that we've messed this up, let's go over to the comments, and I believe that's on you, Joe.
Don't be stealing my catchphrases. We don't have that many. Just Greg, putting an F word in here because he's trying to mess it up. Although I did quote Lee earlier, it wasn't me, so I guess already some cussing going on. Lee,
I censored myself for your protection.
I appreciate it. Lee says, rate the cat. He said, rate the Beau's booth, babe, from the Rhino Fest. Keep it semi-classy. I don't think that's possible. And then Craig says, Google Go-Go Bar. And that's it. That's all we got. Thankfully.
Well,
another comment just came in though.
Oh, we got another comment. Read it.
Jimmy Jazz says,
hey,
had a bottle sitting in my fridge for a few weeks, and guess tonight's as good as a night as any to open it. I would say so, Jimmy.
That's what you think. We'll read it online.
I'll read your thoughts in about 7 to 10 minutes.
Your thoughts, man.
Raining Eye Parade also says, how much was your bottle, Joe? Well, if I had to put a monetary value on it, it would probably be the same as what everyone pays in Ontario. I don't know what that is. I do know I saw this in Rochester, New York, because they do, as Nick mentioned earlier, they do distribute to New York, and it was American funds, clearly, $5.65 a bottle. American, which would translate to about $7 Canadian, give or take.
Yeah, and it was $7.99 for me to pick this up.
So yeah, so in the same realm as what the Canadians are pretty much paying. And there were quite a few of them. But my buddy brought this down from Canada last weekend. Hung out with him, and he brought me one because I asked him to. And he was so. Thank you, Sean. He's never going to watch this, but appreciate it. That's all we got.
We're not even going to watch this.
No. I wouldn't. I'd highly recommend no one to watch this ever. That's on them.
All right. So, Raining Eye Parade just asked you what you're in. I think that's what you were talking about.
The price for the bottle. Yep.
All right. So we ready to give some scores on this wonderful beer? Guy, what do you think of it?
I remember when I had it back then, I gave it a 9 out of 10, but now it's so much lighter. There's even less coffee. I remember. I never put my stouts and porters in the fridge ever. I just started doing that too much. But I love it. Anyways, now it's just how much lighter it is than what I remember. I do get big strawberry notes. Just how the fruits just explode that way. Don't put it in the fridge. The fridge is stupid. So as it is now, I'll give it probably 7.9 10, just for those big coffee strawberry notes.
Is that your personal Guy? So
Huh?
Is that your personal rating on that one? Like overall for you, 7?
Yeah. So I guess if you want to do as a style, I'll go 8.
Okay.
I'm gonna go that way.
Overall 7.
Around that 7.5. Let's go for
Okay.
7.5.
Perfect.
Nice.
And I checked. I reviewed about 60 Beau's beers so far.
Wow, that's a lot. They've been. That's why I couldn't really list a whole lot of beers on their thing. They're so friggin' prolific, and I'm not even sure what they would consider their core lineup outside of like Lug Tread, right? I know there's like I don't think they used to make the Screaming Beaver and the Beaver River IPA, and I think that's been replaced by a full time, hasn't it? And yes, Logo Tread.
All right.
Anyway,
Yep.
moving. Anyway, we might as well move right along. Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
For having this for the first time, I'll go right out of the way and just say for style, I'm giving it an 8. It's, I guess, an 8. Now, for me, for overall, when I first opened this and I first drank it, Joe's going to probably laugh at me or make fun of me at some point, but it was a little bit boozy for me at first. However, now letting it sit here and drink it, it's actually, I guess that booziness just started fading away. And it's actually, I quite enjoy this, actually. I get a lot of chocolate and a lot of coffee off this. It's a good mouthfeel. It's a medium mouthfeel for me on this one. And, yeah, lacing's good on the glass. The head is nice. I mean, I wish I could have physicsed this because this would have been just, like, fantastic in the physics. Only just to sonicate the shit out of this and just be like, you know what, this is, making a nice, Guinness-like head on this thing. It probably would have made it a little bit better, but I couldn't put it in there because, like I said, it wouldn't fit in the physics. But for my overall rating on this, I'm giving this an 8 as well. So we're going 8 for style, 8 for overall on this one. I really enjoy this one. You know what? Out of all the Beau's beers that I've had, this is probably my favorite one so far.
Nice. All right. Yeah, cool story. And there's got to be a will. When there's a will, there's got to be a way to do physics on this thing. It just has to be. There has to be.
If you had the bigger physics, sure. It would fit the whole thing.
Oh, there's actually a bigger physics, or is it?
Plus 2
Wow.
pence.
So why couldn't you put it in another bottle? Does the cap have to be on or something?
No, not at all. I just didn't feel like doing it.
Oh, well, that's on you.
I could have poured this into a smaller bottle or into a water bottle and then put it in the physics, but didn't feel like it.
So that's totally. So you're the one that's letting us down, and not Beau's.
As Joe would say, and I'm stealing his quote. That's on Nick.
It's not me. Fuck off. All right. Speaking of what's on everybody, Greg, what's your thoughts?
Nick, keep it professional. You're slipping, buddy. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say for anyone who cares and wants
just
to,
trying to be professional.
For anyone who wants to judge my credibility, I've had apparently 55 Beau's products. Now, I don't know if that counts as double check-ins or only unique check-ins. I'm not totally sure how Untapped is counting this. But anyways, that's my street cred, as the kids like to say. So I think I'm at least somewhat qualified to judge this beer. And I would give this beer, for a style, I would give it a 7. It is a good coffee stout, but there are so many amazing coffee stouts out there, especially from a company that is very close to me. I won't name, but they're a brewing of the Great Lakes variety. Oh, I gave away too much. And they make just incredible coffee stouts, and I'm kind of used to those now. And this is a good coffee stout, so it's a 7 for me. That being said, overall enjoyment, I'm going to give it a little bit higher. I'm going to actually give it an 8. It is an enjoyable beer. I'm enjoying it. I have no regrets buying it, but I have had better in the style. Now, does anyone know, is this regularly available or is this a seasonal?
Seasonal.
I think it's just a seasonal.
Winter seasonal.
Oh, okay. So I was
Very
going to say, like,
rare release here in New Brunswick. This is the first time I've ever seen it.
Okay, because I was going to say, here's the thing, is that I say this is a good coffee stout. The problem is most coffee stouts are seasonal. If I want a coffee stout in the middle of summer, which granted usually I don't, but occasionally I'm in the mood, they're hard to get at certain times of year. So this would be great if it was all year around.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish that it is more. Well, yeah, of course, I wish it was more regular, but I wish that you could get a coffee stout around any time of year because it just doesn't really scream winter to me. But I digress.
Sorry, I'm just going to add one more thing to this. The reason why I think this is a good coffee stout, not a great coffee stout, is I do get a lot of sort of the burnt roast on this, which I personally don't like to get on a coffee stout. Like there's a lot of like the toastiness. No.
It's a burnt roast, but it's an enjoyable burnt roast.
Yeah, like it's not bad, but I personally would prefer if it wasn't there. So that's just it. But yeah, I mean this is a solid beer, no doubt.
Cool. All right, Joe, what's your thoughts?
Well, in my own mind right now, I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that I agree with Greg like 100%. I don't know how to feel about this. This might be the last time I'm actually on this
Scared
analysis because I'm contemplating right now what life is. But I will say this. Greg is right. It's one of the first times I admit anyways, one of the first times that I know of that he's actually been right when it comes to beer. But the beer itself, I enjoy. I remember liking it better back in the day. So, like everyone else, it was better 3 years ago. It was harder to get. No one could get it, all that good stuff. But I remember the coffee being more prominent and way more robust. I think that's where I kind of agree with Greg. The coffee for me comes off more as not actually coffee, but like the malts in here are almost borderline burnt, charred. They're just a little bit too heavy on that for me. I do enjoy, Guy was talking about fruits. I don't get necessarily strawberries, but I get more like dark fruits, figs, plums, like black cherry maybe. There's a substantial earthiness, and there's a bit more bitterness than I typically like out of coffee stouts. Like I said, Greg referenced the Great Lakes Brewery out of Toronto, where he is located, like right across the street. I don't want to say exactly where he lives, but in that vicinity, so go check him out, Greg, not the brewery.
And Fast and Furious.
Yeah, he's Fast and Furious 27, whatever the next movie is. But those beers, a lot of them use cold brew coffee, less bitterness, more of just a pure coffee flavor. This one, like I said, I just want a little bit more robust coffee from it. Do get a lot of chocolate stuff. I enjoy it. I do remember liking it more. I don't think the quality of this one has dropped off nearly as much as a lot of other Beau's beers I've had over the past couple of years. So again, to 100% agree with Greg. My credibility, which I had none before, I have like negative credibility at this point because I agree with Greg. 7.5 for the style, 8 for personal preference. I could have just changed it to not agree with him, but those are my numbers in my head, and I don't like Greg anymore. Not that I ever really did.
Gonna go with your heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
Joe, you like
whatever's
me.
left of it.
I know
whatever's
you
left of it.
Well, for the record, Greg did say 7 out of 10 for style, and you said 7.5. So you're not exactly the same.
Why I thought you said 7.5.
You can breathe easy now.
Oh.
Right.
Never mind. Never mind. I take everything back.
I like you again, Greg.
Greg is an absolute idiot. Is a yeah. So in the same vicinity.
Know, Joe, that you're deep down in your heart, you were trying to be elitist.
Yeah, my aortic valve was
exploding into light.
I don't want to say anything. We're done. We'll move on to you, Nick. Nick, what do you think?
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I get what you're talking about where it's kind of like cold brew coffee. I find the coffee's not like acidic compared to a lot of coffee stouts where you get the acidity of some coffee roast stew. I'll get into that in a sec, but I think the biggest thing that I got to say about this coffee stout is that it's simple. It's not like it's a super complex coffee stout. It's also a bit mild, and it's very smooth. The booze is masked pretty well on it. It's very coffee forward. I get dark chocolate syrup. I get deep dark roast, like almost smoky coffee notes, with a touch of black cherry and a touch of blueberry. I find it's got that almost like that blueberry, like a berry taste, not like strawberry, but like just blueberry. But I mean, I get those little notes, but I just find I find myself finding it's not boring. It's just simple, and I do wish I wish I had a bit more oomph to it. Like maybe the malts need to be more nuanced on this thing. But the coffee's great. No, I just pulled it out of the cellar. It's about 10 degrees.
Good boy.
Yeah, so that's all I got to really say about it. It's just not super complex. It's a little bit mild, but other than that, I really like it. And the biggest thing that I'm getting off of the impression that I'm getting off of this is that I would love Beau's to try and barrel age, like bourbon barrel age this thing. I think this would take the bourbon barrel aging really nicely.
I think they probably have in one of their or maybe again their greener futures is like, let's take it 73 different beers and put them in 12 different barrels and pray. But it's one of those things where I agree with you. I think this would this would hold up probably well to barrel aging. No one really talked about the body and mouthfeel. It's not overly like viscous or anything, but it has like a lower full body to it for a 9% beer. I think it would hold up to barrel aging. Knowing Beau's though, they put them in the barrels for what, like 27 days, like they're innocent guns. So I don't know.
Overrated.
No, Joe. They'd age it for 6 months, but then they'd age like 3 other versions and 3 other barrels, and they mix them all together and throw a little bit of barrel aged lager in there just for fun.
Yeah. They're like, oh, here's our lug shred that was aged for 24 months in wine barrels. It's like, what? No one asked for that ever. Like they'll never ask for that. Yeah. Terrible.
All right. So for my ratings, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 for both. I think it's a great Imperial Stout. Maybe there could be better. As far as personal enjoyment, I really like it. Made it, 4 to 5, 8 out of 10.
One thing I want to touch on what you were saying, Nick, about the like you basically said it lacked complexity, and I kind of agree with you. Beers don't need to be complex to be awesome beers. This kind of hits on a couple different notes and it does it really well. But I feel like if it was a little bit more complex, I'd enjoy it a lot more. There just isn't a whole lot of different things going on. So for me, it kind of loses me a little bit in that respect.
And you know what? You could almost blame the whole thing on the thought that like, oh, Beau's has kind of been slacking off lately. I gotta say, this is probably one of the best beers I've had from Beau's since like 2014 or something like that. It's fantastic, really. But the other, like when this arrived in NB liquor stores, the other beer that we got with it was Strong Patrick's, the barrel aged in Jameson barrels version, and they were both sitting there for $7.99. No brainer that this is the better one to get because the Strong Patrick one was shit. But that just goes with the thought that like it seems like everything Beau's is lately is kind of like a little bit lackluster, not bad, but a little lackluster. And this is just, maybe it's hard to screw up when you have a recipe like that already. But it's almost like Beau's hasn't really been impressing me as of late.
I'd be curious to see have they ever released just the base Russian Imperial Stout sans the coffee? I'd be curious to take a look at just the base beer by itself.
That'd be kind of interesting. Maybe like Guy, do you know what if this is a base beer for anything? Like there's a version of this without coffee?
No, I don't even know if they did. I'm sure they did the barrel aged version after this, but they used this is one of their earlier beers, right? So I'm sure this is the base beer for whatever you want to do with it. Yeah, I'm sure they made other beers. They mixed this with other beers as well. But yeah, no, it's just the base beer itself.
Yeah, I don't recall them ever making an Imperial Stout, like a standalone Imperial Stout.
According to Untappd, they did a bourbon barrel aged version of this, a part of the Greener Futures program. Back almost 4 years ago. It was first added on Untappd on April 22nd of 2014. How long did they age it for? 4 months, baby. 4 months in the barrels. It gets a 4.22 out of 56 rating, so quite a bit better than the regular bottle imp. That's a pretty good rating. But yeah, so they did do a version of it 4 years ago.
Maybe if they do show up at Chad's Fest this year, they could make a barrel-aged version. I suppose they don't have 4 months left, do they? Fuck. Yeah. Anyway, I'd love to try the bourbon barrel-aged version of this if there ever was one, but of course, chances are that's either extremely rare or all gone. In other words, I'm going to say fuck and be unprofessional. All right, so let's jump over to the comments and see if there's anybody chatting. I see there's a lot of raining on your parade in there, and Paul's in the chat. Want to go ahead and read them there, Joe? Be a good boy.
We should mention that it's English Paul, not regular Paul.
It's true.
Okay, so Jimmy Jazz says it is $7.95 in Ontario. I hit up Google to do the exchange, and it's about $7.25 or so in the States if you compare it to Canadian pricing, so a little slightly cheaper. Raining Iron Parade says Beer Analysis 101 is YouTube gold.
Thank you. I realize it's probably sarcasm, but thank you anyway.
He's always honest with his comments. Lee says, from what I got out of Guy, quote, "Don't put fruits in the fridge; they will explode." Raining Iron Parade I mean, that's basically what I think we all got out of it.
Don't put your fruits in the fridge. Just keep them outside of your body.
Raining Iron Parade goes on a little
professional here.
He goes, room temperature is never the answer, but closer to room temp is.
I'm a first professional. Okay.
He also says, chill your beer and give it time to warm.
What you mean, professional?
Which isn't always an option for people who review beers, unlike myself, who doesn't have a channel. But you can always, if you do a review in say 8 to 10 minutes or whatever, you don't have time for it to really warm up. Some people do the jump cuts and whatnot, but yeah, you don't always have the option in an analysis like that. Like this, you probably do, since it's usually 30 to 45 minutes. But I don't know. I'd rather get it closer to room temperature. Just go ham on it, yo.
Halfway through, we started putting our beers by the fireplace.
In our own channel, Joe, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Put your beers by the fireplace. I'm telling you.
By the fireplace. That's right. I saw the video. Pascal was happy. He also says the Founder's Breakfast Stout seems to age well a year and a half later. I enjoy that beer fresh and aged and whatever. It's good. It's good beer. And then he says, what's up with Joe's bad attitude? Is he joking? Well, Raining Iron Parade, as someone who has watched like 500 different videos with me and them and all these analyses, I think you should probably know the true answer to that one, I would think. But I'm not going to tell you. Craig says...
He's got a bad attitude.
Yeah, I'm a piece of garbage. Craig says, "Is this beer sweet/savory?" What do you guys have to say for that? Anything?
I would actually say, I'd say it's actually more sweet/bitter.
I say sweet and bitter as well. I agree with Greg on my life is over.
Everyone's agreeing with Greg tonight.
I also agree with Greg. Help us. Please help us.
Let's see what's not in the fridge today, guys.
Also, he's taking pictures like the nerd that he is. I love it. Fantastic. How about you, Nick? Sweet, savory, bitter?
I wouldn't necessarily call it savory, but I would call it very sweet, lightly sweet, but definitely very bitter, very roasted bitter.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's more substantial bitterness than I think more Russian Imperial stouts, more coffee stouts you get in the last couple of years. Like, it definitely has a bitterness to it that is a bit old school in style, which makes sense because
it's warmed up a bit and you do get that big blueberry note on it. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Yeah, you're picking. Paul Pierre, a man who has a long storied history of this beer, says it's not multi-dimensional. Look at Paul throwing out big words. Can't even
big words and shit.
He says, but the simple flavors of it, simple flavors it has are strong and complement each other nicely. I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
this and their dark helmet are his favorites from them.
I'm more scared. I'm agreeing with Paul and Greg.
Well, Paul also hasn't had any newer version. The last version I think he had was 14 or 15. So, like I said, I don't think there's a substantial drop off in quality of this beer, but certainly a bit. Then again, our palates might have just changed immensely since then, and just what we're tasting now is completely different because of our palates. It could be a bunch of things. He also says 4 months, Innocent Gun can do 10 beers in that time. Yeah, they can.
Then beers in that time.
Definitely true.
Paul also says YouTube fool's gold, as responding to Raining on Your Parade saying, "Is this YouTube gold?" He calls it fool's gold. Yeah, it is fool's gold. Raining Parade then just laughs. I don't know if at Paul's comment at me asking him whether or not I am being.
It's best not to try to explain.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about
Raining Parade's behavior.
Yeah, he just laughed, so he's having a great time. Craig says, "Great Manchester band, the Stone Roses."
Ooh, yes.
Want to be adored. Paul says, has far attempts. Raining is more stupid than Guy's palate times 10. That's not nice, Paul. That's not nice.
No, it's not.
Rain Parade also says overall experience is more important from a guy who could not tell a lager for a saison.
Well, guess what, guys?
Guess
I got some totals for you.
Got the total for us, baby. What do you got?
I got the totals.
Kind of stouty.
Is it stouty?
I got some. It's very thin, baby. No, I got
It's a little thin, baby.
our wonderful totals here in my wonderful sketchbook of
Yeah.
analysis
Oh, I see
101
some white
sketchbook
paper.
here. I know that's okay. It's
1967.
all kinds of penises on this because I'm unprofessional. But anyway,
why are there two circles there, the side by side?
don't
I
even
won't
worry
say
about
what they
that.
resemble.
Okay,
but-
settle down. Okay.
No,
Okay, now here we go.
Connected by a shaft.
All right, so totals for the style, we gave it a 7.7 overall on the average, and that's for style, and an overall total with an average of 7.9.
Nice.
So it was okay. It's a just above average beer.
I think overall we generally liked it quite a bit.
I think a 4 out of 5 is a very good rating. Like that's basically what we're giving it. 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10 in that realm. I mean, it is a good beer. Where again, you're doing a beer analysis where we're trying to nitpick the beer and talk about our own personal experiences. In no way is this a bad beer at all.
I think
Exactly.
Well, when you mix
I think-
5 stupid pallets together and you get a rating
Exactly.
of 4 out of 5, it's good.
And I think
It's not
the
a
important thing you need to take away from this analysis is that it's not quite as good as MGD.
Yeah, I mean, and I wasn't on that pallet. That was a pallet. I wasn't on that pallet. I wasn't on that.
That was
pallet.
definitely a stupid pallet.
I was not on that panel.
That was definitely
because
stupid.
that was a panel full of stupid pallets. When MGD is getting like a
I think
800 out of
we had
10 or
even
whatever.
more
we
stupid
got.
pallets on that one.
Yeah, that was amazingly terrible.
But again, we review a beer based on its style, not necessarily just but it's a beer. Wow.
Well,
All right. This is going down. Let's probably wrap it up.
we'll
we
wrap
have
it up.
2 more comments. We have Paul loving that Rainy Guy Parade was giving it to him for the Yingling comment of mistaking that for a saison.
Oh, yeah,
and-
now I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, and then he also said cheers to the panel, and then Chris, in his best trolling form, throws out, "What's the beer for next week, guys?"
Well,
Nick,
next
take it away.
Okay, then. Well,
Good
next
segue.
week we're going to make everything a little bit more British. And we're going with a British beer. And we're doing Wells Banana Bread.
Oh, I get it. Next tripod banana. I see.
Yeah.
He started off with the accent and ended with the accent. Just turn off the live feed right now. Just turn it off.
I promise the
done here.
viewers, even if I'm not here, Nick is not going to use that
dislikes
accent.
it.
No accent.
Yeah.
He's not allowed. If Craig or Peter are here, we can't let him offend those guys with this piss poor accent. It's not happening.
I love Craig and Peter. I'm just saying.
What if we do a crazy Mexican beer?
All right.
That's racist.
Yeah, we don't have any more time. Time is
Yeah,
up.
make fun of the British because they're also white people.
Tequila. Tequila review.
All right.
So terrible. Please stop.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, thanks. I got to say thank you for watching us on the show. For doing Beau's Bottle Limp. Yeah, we all generally pretty well liked it. And Raining on Your Parade just said, "Oh no." I think that means he knows he's sad that we're going offline. I guess.
Shout out to Rain Air Parade, Paul, Jimmy Jazz, Lee, and Craig for all stopping by.
Yeah, Jimmy Jazz didn't give us his thoughts on Bottle Limp,
No.
but we're gonna go. We're gonna go live in a few minutes anyway on this channel again, so he can pop in on that.
Help.
Anyway,
Popping on
I
that.
think
Popping.
banana, popping banana. All right, interrupt us. All right. Well, okay. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and cheers to the panel. Cheers to all our viewers. Thanks for sticking out with us over the last. I think we've been doing this for almost 6 months now, which is crazy.
Yeah, and if you want to check any of us out, other than Greg and me, because we don't have channels, you got Chris on the 10th, awesome channel.
Yep.
Guy from
Drinking in Canada.
Drinking in Canada, formerly Beer Guy Reviews. Yeah,
No, beer ghee.
Beer Guy. It's Guy from Beer Guy. That was the whole greatness of it. And then Nick from You're On His channel, which is
You're on my channel right now, Maxwell Stars Beer Review, which I might post something in a blue moon.
That's right.
Yeah, but check
Rather
out
than, of course,
Like
the anal
4 years
ISIS.
ago.
And
I
of course, Joe, who might be starting Beer Patrol soon.
And I also want to announce I will also be starting a channel. It'll be exactly 1 week after Joe starts his channel.
And I'm gonna hold him.
Excellent.
I'm gonna hold him and you to it. And when it happens, the joke's on them. That's the best part.
No, the joke's on you because you're gonna have to watch my channel. It's gonna be awful.
Who said anyone has to watch?
doing,
Nobody has to
You
watch.
will. You won't be able.
when Joe
You won't
starts
be able to
doing beer
resist watching.
reviews, when Joe starts doing beer reviews, we'll start doing beer analysis 101 on his channel.
Can we specifically say when Joe starts doing beer reviews on his own channels? Because I've done beer reviews, just not on my own channel.
Are you joking, Joe? Joking?
Yeah, you've been doing beer reviews for like 5 years now.
Drunk.
Yeah, you've been doing beer reviews for like 5 or 6 years now. For fuck's sake.
For anyone that wants to see Joe in action, check out the On the 10th dual review on some IPA number 5 that's apparently juicy.
Yeah, if you have 36 minutes of your life to waste, check it out. It's a lot of fun.
The greatest 56 minutes of recorded time that I cut it down to 36 minutes. Joe got all crazy, got hammered after about 4 of those.
I believe that was
It
Chris.
awesome.
Who got hammered.
It was just awesome.
I don't
Chris
have
had to cut out all the nudity.
I did.
No,
Joe started stripping and running around his can in his room back there. It was fucking crazy.
All right. Sorry, we started to go unprofessional here at the end.
Let's just end this and go live on your
We're
channel.
gonna cut this off, and yeah, we'll talk to you folks later. Cheers.
Goodbye, friends.
Bye-bye.
I missed the B6.
I thought Guy is gonna take his pants. He's already got his pants off.
Oh.